I really liked when I was proposed to talk about the shift that an organization has to have when they move from being an incumbent to a brand. And I'm really seduced by the idea of energy. We've been working with energy companies for the last, in transformation for the last 2-3 years, because I see exactly the same pattern that I used to see about 25 years ago when we started working with telecoms operators. Let me just give very quickly a little varnish about who we are. My company is called Saffron. And why is it called Saffron? Well, first, I come from Madrid, Spain, and those that have been to Spain know that the difference between a bowl of white rice and a paella is a bit of saffron. At the end of the day, saffron is a spice with which a tiny little bit you can achieve transformation, and that's what we do. A bit of saffron transforms. Saffron was started by two guys. The guy on the left, myself, and the guy on the right, Wally Ollins. Wally Ollins passed away 4 years ago. Wally Ollins was branded the world's most influential guru in brands and branding. When Wally was around, someone used to call us the right balance between charm and brutality. It was easy to know who was the charm and who was the brutality. Now that Wally isn't around, I have to choose when I am the charm and when I am the brutality. Hopefully today I will only be the charm. We work based on three main gurus, three main sources of influence. One is obviously Wally Ollins. Another one is Joseph Schumpeter with his principle of creative destruction as the only possible way for growth within a capitalist environment through innovation. And another one is Daniel Kahneman for his impressive discovery of how psychology and economics touch, and all the work he's done in behavioral economics. If I ask you to just go on the street and you bump into this building, what would you think? But not much, really. Because if next door you have this building, you'd probably know what sort of a bank is behind those walls. You'll guess. You won't have to explain anything like all the banks try to do every day. With a single half-eaten fruit and two words together, you can understand the sort of organization that lies behind that wall. And even if I go beyond and I show you this, you probably like to check into this place. Because you sort of understand and you sort of think that a high hotel would be beautifully designed, comfortable, maybe a bit expensive, but a place irresistible for you to try at least once. Apple is a bit of a boring case because all of us use Apple all the time. And one gets a bit sick and tired of using Apple, but one has to respect that these guys have managed to create something that all of us, that are no doubt intelligent people, fall manipulated or seduced by this super powerful brand. To the point of a few tattoo the logo in the chest, which is quite an extreme, obviously. What these guys have achieved is what not many companies achieve, which is understand that an organization has a body, but also they have a heart, they have a soul. And that soul has made them go beyond the one, call it $1 billion or €1 trillion or $1 trillion or billion euro market capitalization. Quite amazing. What makes Apple and many other companies, many other brands so fantastic, so powerful? In my view, it's the perfect combination between being relevant and being authentic. The secret to success in branding is be true, be true to your roots, be authentic, be something that only you can be, but for God's sake, don't forget to be relevant to your customer. Listen to your customer. And your customer is not only the person who will buy from you, your customer will also be the new recruit that you will want to attract. The guy that is leaving the top university that you want to join the university. You want him to come to you. You want to be relevant for him. This is what we are about. We make brand work. And we work for many industries, but we don't like to say that we work for this or that or the other industry. Or we do this naming and logo and no. What we do is we engage with organizations in the different elements where change happens. When organizations are at the very beginning, when they create something, when they are in a growth process, when they adjust. Maybe Statoil was an adjust situation, or maybe it was a transformation situation. At the end of the day, brand is about three very much interconnected things. Of course, one is about culture. Of course, one is about creating the experience, because at the end of the day, brand is a promise, but a promise of an experience delivered. But if you don't connect these two things with the concept of business, everything is hollow. Because at the end of the day, probably, as Wally once said, brand is the best gift that art gave to commerce. Having said this, we need to understand that brand is not an end. We around this room that are branders, live out of brand or with brands, must understand that brand is not an end. Brand is a means to achieve this change that we all live every day. A world that is changing fast. A world that is of rapid urbanization, of absolute mobility, unprecedented demographic growth, of climate change where many people have mentioned Paris in this conference over the last couple of days. A world that inevitably has new concerns, where in France, they introduced this idea of Pinocchio, which company lies the most? A world where the consumer has the power, a world where it's not what can you do for your country, but the consumer says, what can the country do for me? And this has created an enormous amount of opportunities, an enormous amount of disruption. The taxi has been disrupted by Uber and all the rest of Ubers that we have in the world. Blockbuster, we all know, was disrupted by Netflix, and we all know that Netflix was almost purchased by Blockbuster, and thank goodness Blockbuster decided not to buy Netflix, so otherwise we would never be watching Netflix. That Airbnb has a value higher than the Hyatt Corporation or Marriott. It's a world that's moving from being a top-down world from a bottom-up world. A world where IoT or IIoT will be governing our lives. A world of electric cars. A world of electricity. A world that is actually in the perfect storm, where you don't really know where the competition is or is going to happen, where borders between industries blur. You don't know whether Amazon is going to enter into Google, or Google is going to enter into Microsoft, or whether Apple will be building the first electric car, or is it self-driven electric car, or is it Tesla? When you look at this slide, you're amazed, because only 12.2% of the Fortune 500 companies in 1955 remained 2 years ago. And when I saw this news, like you did, you said something is happening to commerce. Seeing GE out of the door is quite something. We don't realize it, but it's quite something. What about energy, where the same bloody disruption is happening to you? You go from closed systems to open systems, from unidirectional to bi-directional, so from consumers to prosumers. We've heard this a number of times. We see Tesla entering solar world. Why? Because Tesla has been clever enough not to be a brand for cars, like Apple is not a brand for computers, someone mentioned this morning. Tesla is a brand of sustainability, so they have the license, if you can say, the brand has the license to enter anything that has to do with sustainability. We see Google with the Project Sunroof that tells you which and how many square feet of potential sunroof you have in this or that potential home. Obviously, Alexa. Obviously, Airbnb, hosting and helping and trying to promote companies that are environmentally friendly. Something that is actually fascinating that we all know, but that was really unheard of 2 years ago. When we think of who our competitors and partners will be, it'll be the Googles, the Comcasts, AT&Ts, who are already inside the meter. We aren't worried about the utilities because they have no clue how they get beyond the meter. Disruption. I knew we were in a disruption or disrupted era when I read this piece of news. Playboy is stopped running photos of completely naked women. So when you see that Playboy doesn't run naked women on the cover, you see that something is really going to happen soon. And actually, disruption is everywhere, everywhere to the point of stupidity. I've spoken with my children, we've spoken with our children today and yesterday and Saturday a number of times. It didn't cost us a penny, because we placed the call through WhatsApp. Sorry, telco. If you're young and you are in Germany or Spain or Britain, you can bank with number 26, which is a fascinating bank. Many of them exist already, with no branches that make banking incredibly agile and easy. Of course, none of us can think of buying anything which is not Amazon. But it goes beyond origin. Don't ask me where I'm from. Ask me where I'm local. What does she mean, Taye? Work? Office? The Digital Nomad's Guide to Working from Anywhere on Earth. Family? We heard last night that it's very, in Iceland, having a second child out of 4, but not being the father of 4 of them is pretty common. But anyway, in other parts of the world, having families like this one were not called families. Race, you see these twins, one is black, one is blonde. Gender, I think gender is overrated. The new adulthood, saying that a teenager actually should go beyond the 20 year of age because of the attitudes millennials have. Models, this LVMH campaign of 3D rendered models without using or spending or casting real live models and working incredibly well because of the video game boom. Social class, what is upper middle class? What is cultivated? What is high class? Something that was very clear a few years ago is totally blurred today. Religion. You're not surprised to read that the world's newest major religion is no religion. And when you look at the statistics, you see that 70% of young people in the UK identify with no religion. And in the Czech Republic is about 90%, Estonia is 80%, Sweden, on and on and on. So choose what defines us. So what about you? This is a slide I love to use when I talk to people that used to be incumbents. This room is equipped with Edison electric light. Do not attempt to light with match. Simply press switch on wall by the door. The use of electricity for lighting is in no way harmful to health, nor does it affect the soundness of sleep. This is an actual sign on a hotel, New York hotel, in 1911. A lot has happened since then. What got you there, or what got you here actually, won't get you there. And yes, a lot has been done of merging and creating new brands and new companies. A lot of it from an economic, from a financial, from a market, from a shareholder standpoint, and not a lot from a purpose standpoint. A lot of companies are created and generate new names and generate new visual expressions with little purpose behind. To suddenly realize, what do I do with a logo and a name? What do I tell my employees? What do I tell my stakeholders? What do I tell my customers? A product without a purpose is a commodity. A product with a purpose becomes a brand. You have to stand for something. If you are a brand, if you are a company, not if you are a brand, because all of us are a brand. If you are a company, you have to stand for something. You have to stand for something that means something to your clients, to your employees, to the stakeholders. And this slide I saw in Bogota when I was giving a speech 3 or 4 years ago that I keep using and using and using. There's no longer any real distinction between business strategy and the design of the user experience. The last best experience that anyone has anywhere becomes a minimum expectation for the experience they want everywhere. And brand is the promise of an experience delivered. And brand is experience. And this is what has built Apple to the point that we would all check in into this hotel. So, how you become a brand? Well, by realizing that regardless of all the changes, our firm beliefs remain the same. We all need subsistence, protection, love, belonging, identity, freedom. We all thrive for something that is authentic. My wife, Anna, and I have loved to spend these few days here in Reykjavik because, if anything, we feel it authentic. From the wooden furniture in the hotel, to the people you talk to the president of the country that was here yesterday and spoke as any of us could talk. I mean, the Prime Minister of Spain went to his brother-in-law wedding on Saturday, and he took a helicopter and 50 bodyguards. Prime Minister of Spain, give me a fucking favor. I mean, this is not Iraq. Authentic. But don't forget to be relevant. Because disruption happens when relevance is not really achieved. Brand is the promise of an experience delivered, but if anything, about truth. And truth is the most important thing. I was asked upstairs to define a message. Give me a word, she said. And I said, true. Be true to yourself. Truth is the most important thing. And why is truth so important today? Because the internet, because technology has collapsed the barrier that exists between what you say and what you do. And companies used to be black boxes. You could say whatever you wanted because nobody was going to realize what you were actually doing. Now you say something, and if you do something totally different, social media is going to talk about you. So these black boxes have become glass boxes. And this is a fantastic example that happened in the UK. Probably you've seen it. KFC, no, FCK. Fuck. Why is this? Because a chicken restaurant without any chicken, it's not ideal. Huge apologies to our customers, especially those who traveled out of their way to find we were closed. And endless thanks to our KFC team members and our franchise partners for working tirelessly to improve the situation. It's been a hell of a week, but we're making progress. And every day, more and more fresh chicken is being delivered to our restaurants. Thank you for bearing with us. I don't know whether you know, but there was very, very bad weather in Britain during the month of February and March, and the distribution chain was broken. So chicken could not be delivered to the KFC shops. And everyone was starting to talk about, I walked into a KFC and I couldn't get chicken. I only got potatoes. So KFC themselves created this fuck campaign, which is fantastic. And the KFC franchise system in the UK came back. Obviously, they had chicken, but it came back, and everyone appreciated what they said and they did. At the end of the day, a brand, the role of a brand today is to help continue being relevant when everything changes, including ourselves. So let's not let the tiny disruptive ones punch us, because everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face, he said.